Good afternoon. Hi, everybody. Welcome. It is the Friday Ambassador Workshop Series for the Hostos Student Leadership Academy. We're excited to be rejoined by our good friend, Brian Rashid, who's coming to us live from Hawaii and has a great brand new program for us, and will be taking us through some ways to really sort of enhance ourselves and look at things in a different light. And so I'm glad you could be here today. We're excited to have you for all the new folks and for all the returning folks. And I will turn this over to my good friend, Brian Rashid. And Brian, thank you for being here.
Jason, thank you for having me, and thank you for everybody that's here. I'm really excited to be with you all. I haven't done a conference in a little while, so I'll give you just kind of a really quick intro about who I am, and then we're going to jump right into the exercise for today. But I'm Brian, and I'm actually also a very proud CUNY grad. I went to CUNY Law School in Queens, and graduated, back in 2009. And then I went to work. My aspiration at that moment was to become the mayor of New York City. So I went to work for Mike Bloomberg when he was the mayor. I worked in his re-election campaign up in Washington Heights with all of my favorite Dominicanos, for all of you Dominicans that are here. I love Washington Heights. I love living there. And I actually learned Spanish in the Dominican Republic. So the Dominican Republic is very, very near and dear to my heart. But I went to, so after I graduated from law school, worked for Bloomberg, worked there for 3 years, did speech writing in his administration, and really started to get a taste for the power of narrative, for the power of words, for the power of your story, for the power of using emotions to inspire people. And I really enjoyed the work, but I just got tired of having a boss, honestly. And I had so many ideas in my head, and I knew I wanted to implement them. So I moved to California, the land of the ideas, and I started my own business. And it was a communication coaching business where we specialized on helping people, brands, and individuals and entrepreneurs of all sizes tell their stories in an exciting way. And that led to me starting a video production company and me starting a digital media agency out of Lower Manhattan, which I did. And I had that agency for about 5 years. And then I realized that I really was a passionate writer and a creative consultant. So I kind of downsized my creative agency into more of a creative consultant role. And I started writing, and I started doing conferences. And for the last 8-9 years now, I've been doing conferences and traveling all over the world, and it's been really fun. And then in these last couple of years, obviously, we've been living through some unique moments, and the in-person stuff stopped, and a lot of the video production stopped because budgets were getting cut like crazy. People were trying to figure out how to make payroll. They didn't have money for branding and PR. And in that moment, I was in Uruguay, and I was supposed to be there for 1 month in 2020, and then I was supposed to be all over the world from there, doing different projects and different different projects. And then 1 week before my return flight to New York City, where I was meant to speak at Fordham's School of Business, the airport in Uruguay closed down, and I was essentially stuck there until December. So this was back in February. So in February, mid-March, the airport closed, and I was stuck there until December. And then in January, I still didn't know where the world was going to go, and I didn't really want to spend quarantine inside of a small apartment in New York. And so I came to Hawaii, and I've been living here for the whole year. But the reason I tell you all this is because what I found to be the most useful skill to me, right now, I think what we're realizing is there's this moment where we have to figure out how to be as self-reliant as possible. Yes, community is important. What you're all doing here with the leadership program is super important. I believe in it so much. But ultimately, we have to be able to figure out how can we become massively self-reliant, and how can we build skills that will make us safe and thriving in this world. And what I found in 2020, when I was really kind of stuck in this country, was that for me, it was finding my own voice. For the 8 years prior, I had been helping other people find their voices, and I had helped other people tell their stories. And for the first time, I had to kind of get honest with myself and say, what is your story, Brian? What do you want to do? Now, like, the world is changing, the world has changed. What is your truth? What is important to you? What is your narrative? And so I started writing, and I started writing all kinds of stories, and then I started writing love letters. And this is kind of where we ended up, how I ended up here with you today, is because about 6 months into my stay in Uruguay, I started to really fall in love with the country. First couple months, I was really grieving. All of my friends and family were in New York. I had to fire a bunch of my employees because the pandemic just destroyed a lot of small businesses. And that was really hard for me. People that had been with me for many, many years that I loved. And then there was all this violence happening in the US. And then there was all of this, in some cases low level, and in some cases super high level anxiety that was permeating all areas of life because of COVID. And people were losing their jobs, and people were having mental health issues, and people were feeling alone. And I was feeling alone. And so those first few months were rough. But then something shifted in me where I decided that, like, you can either dwell on the bad, or you can start to think about what is the thing that makes you feel most alive, and start to really go for that. And for me, it was writing and communicating. And so I wrote a love letter to Uruguay back in October, a couple months before I left. And I remember I was sitting in this cafe, and I had just lived about 7 months, 8 months of life in Uruguay. And I was writing this letter, and I wrote it in about 4 hours. I was really kind of just in this zone of just, I was writing. And it turned out to be about a 3 or 4 page letter. And I left the cafe, and I remember I was walking back to my apartment, and I just started crying. I just literally, on the street of Montevideo, I just started to cry. And I thought to myself, like, why are you crying? Well, I was crying because I knew in that moment that something had shifted for me. And I knew in that moment that this letter was going to be really important. And so I got home, and I posted it on Facebook, and I posted it on Instagram. And then that was like a Thursday or something. And that weekend, I go to a museum. There's a museum opening, like a cultural excursion in Montevideo. I go there, and I'm there, and I pull out my phone, and on Instagram, you can see, like, in your DMs, right? Like, you can see when you have messages. Well, I had like that 99 plus. I had no messages that morning. And then that afternoon, I had like 99 plus. And I opened my DMs and Instagram, and I have literally about 1,000 messages between Instagram and Facebook and my email. And it's just from people that I've never heard of. And they're thanking me for this love letter. And I think to myself, but there's only like 25 likes on these pages. Like, what happened was this love letter ended up getting picked up by the biggest newspaper magazine in Uruguay, and they republished it. And then all of a sudden, I start getting invited to all these TV shows, and the letter goes completely viral. I mean, like, completely nuts viral, crazy. I'm getting thousands of messages over the next couple of weeks from people. Thank you for seeing my country. Thank you for distilling the culture. Thank you for appreciating what I didn't even see. And I've lived here for 35 years. I'm actually now living in Venezuela. I miss my country. I'm living in Miami. I miss my country. All these messages. And I realized, and then all of a sudden CNN contacts me, and they say, hey, we read your letter. We want to come do a story. Can we come to your home? And I'm just like, wow, this is unbelievable. But I realized something. I realized that I didn't write this letter for that. I wrote this letter to give appreciation for a country, and then to make some sense out of my experience for what was a very hard year for all of us. And I realized that in that expression, there was healing for me. And in that expression, there was clarity for me. And in that expression, there was creativity for me. And so what I said in that moment is, maybe there's something here. But then I got reminded that I've been basically doing this now for 10 years. I wrote a love letter to New York City that also went totally viral, got picked up by Forbes. And then I get messages even today. I wrote it back in 2016. It's called Why Everyone Should Live in New York City. You guys would all probably appreciate it since you're all, living in New York. I get messages today. I'm from the middle of Iowa. I just came out for the first time. I can own my sexuality, and I just landed in New York City because of your letter. I'm from Australia and my dream has been here. I'm from here. And people will write me from, for some reason, they write me from JFK. I just landed at JFK because of your letter. And I'm ready to give New York a shot because it's always been my dream and you pushed me there. So I've had 4 or 5 different letters that have gone viral. And there was a letter that I wrote in Armenia with George Clooney. I got invited to go to Armenia with George Clooney to write a story about him and this celebration and honoring of the 101st genocide anniversary of the genocide. So what I realized is, oh my God, there's something here in these letters for people. There's something here in these letters for me. And through writing, I don't know how many of you have a desire to be a writer, but really in every single profession, writing is such a skill. But through my writing, I realized who I am and what I held important to me. So this workshop is love letters to ourselves, finding our way home. Because I think that, yeah, we can we can think about our personal brand, and we can think about our dream job, and we can think about our dream life, and we can think about where we want to live and how much money we want to make and how many kids we want to have and our perfect partner. And we can think about all those things, and all those things are beautiful. But I think before we do any of that, we have to take a moment to recognize that, you know what, we have the power inside of us, and we have to give ourselves that time and that space to actually figure out what is that thing for us. What is that story? What is it that we hold true? What is the narrative that has been given to us by our parents, siblings, partner, whoever, society, job, university, that we are trying to fit inside that is absolutely not us? And what would it look like? What would it look like if we could rewrite that narrative? What would it look like if we could take control of our story? Not wait and hope. And no, we take control of our story and we start to own our strengths, and we start to own our power, and we start to own our story, and we start to think about the vision and recreate the vision that we want. Because let me tell you guys and gals, right now is the time to do that. It is the time to do that. So thank you for listening to that intro. I hope you feel the passion. I want to jump into exercise with you guys. So this is how it's going to work. I don't want to give you too much of a structure. I usually do, but I don't want to today because I really want us to just be here in this moment. So here's what I want you to do. Everyone should have a piece of paper and a pen or a notebook or a phone, or even your computer that you're looking on is fine. Whatever you feel most comfortable with, writing distraction free. So if you get your phone out, put it on airplane mode so you can jam and write in the notes, right? What I want you to do, so I'll give you a few seconds to get your writing utensil or your writing method. All right, so we're going to do several exercises today. They're all going to be writing exercises, right? So they're going to be great for you to refer back to. And then the other thing that I like to do with you guys is to give you some sort of framework so that you can recreate this experience for yourselves in a week, in a month, in 6 months, in a year, without me having to be here guiding you through it, right? So here we go. Exercise number 1. I want you to write down in one paragraph. I really want you to write down in just one paragraph. So we're going to take about 3 minutes. I want you to write down what you are experiencing in this moment right now. And I'm going to leave it that broad. So you get to decide how you take it. Right now in your life, in this exact moment, right now, at 3:49 p.m. in New York City, what are you experiencing now? Go ahead and start. I'm going to give you 3 minutes, and then we're going to have some people share after. Go for it. Let's take one more minute. All right. So now I need to ask for a few volunteers. So who would like to, let's see, if you would like to volunteer, just since I can't see you all, just put it in the chat. Just say I'd like to volunteer so I can see the chat. I can see the chat here. Participation, guys, is going to be really important for this, so don't be shy. All right, Mabel, awesome. Thank you. Go for it.
So I'm volunteering to read what I wrote.
Exactly.
Okay, just making sure. Okay. So pardon me, because I'm outside and that's what I wrote about. So
Amazing.
outside, feeling the breeze with my two kids at the playground. I decided to come outside for a change of scenery to feel the breeze and have the sound of my children playing. It can give me a sense of calmness at times. After a full week of working with middle schoolers, sometimes silence is preferred. But today I chose the sound of my children playing in the playground, the soft breeze, the visual of the leaves falling from the trees. And that's where I stopped because then I had to put them in the swing.
Yes. All right. That's a very important pause point. All right. So I'm gonna stick with. Okay. Good. We got some good people that want to go next. Okay. I'm gonna stick with you for a second, Mabel. That was amazing. That was amazing. That was amazing. And I'm gonna come back to you because we have people that want to go next. But I'm gonna come back to you. That was amazing. Thank you, Roxy. Let's go for it. Oh, Roxy, I think you're muted. Oh, there you go.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. Hi, my name is Roxy Calleja. Um, can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay. I want to share that that today I went to job interview, and because I don't have a job right now, so this company hired me, but unfortunately this job is temporary. So tomorrow I have a job fair and I'm going to apply for more jobs opportunity. And I am happy for that because I feel like I am motivated because I can say that there are jobs available. I just need to apply. And that's it.
Great. Beautiful.
That's
Congratulations.
what yeah.
All right. Congratulations and thank you. And I'm going to come back to you too. Good luck. All right. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. And then Kim Lloyd wants to go next. And guys, if anybody else wants to go, please drop your name in the chat. It'd be good to get maybe one or two more after Kim if we could.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Kim Lloyd, and I'm just happy to be on a Zoom video with y'all because since we've been in COVID-19 in the pandemic, I kind of been in isolation because I've been following the rules and regulations, and it seemed like when we came into the pandemic, they kept on telling us to stay home, to only go out when you really have to, like to get food or anything. I thank for being in school because it just kept me informed about how to deal with the pandemic, to to stay safe, to follow the rules, just keeping me informed on how to survive this pandemic. Because like I said, I've been in isolation and I just been staying home. And even though I've been doing my schoolwork, I haven't really been socializing with anyone. I don't know what anyone else is going through. I don't know anything about only thing I know is what's been going on the news or at school. And that's about it. I know a lot of people has passed away from COVID because they was up in age, and it has made me feel sad. But less than that, I have not been socializing with anyone. And when I go on these Zoom calls, it makes me happy to see that everybody is still here and still surviving, and life is still going on. So that's what I've been experiencing. This is my third time being on a Zoom video with other people. And last week when I was on a Zoom video, the gentleman was talking about how it's okay to be selfish. And he talked about having a plan, and you can see how well you're taking care of yourself if you have a plan. And I don't have a plan. I have a cat. So I've been taking care of my cat, and my cat is fine. But less than that, I really has not been socializing with anyone because of the pandemic. So me being on this video call has made me very happy to see that people are still out there doing what they have to do to survive in this pandemic.
That's great. Thank you so much, Kim. And you know, cats are guardians, so you're also being protected by your cat. So that's cool. Very cool. All right, so let's do two more. Thank you. Let's do Junior, and then we'll go with Kobe, and then we'll move on to the next one. Annie, we'll get you next. So thanks for sharing. Go ahead, Junior.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll talk about, because I know you said about at the moment, right?
Yep.
So, I wanted to say, like, at this moment in time, just right now, I've been I would say even this year in general, I've been pushing myself to the hardest that I can, to see, like, which end I can get to, like how much work is too much for me, because I've never done that. I've always been the type of person to be like, well, that's too much. It's too much. Oh, that sounds like that's a lot, but I've never really, like, oh, you know what? Let me try it. Let me try and do it. At least. And I think this semester, or even this year in general, I've been pushing myself to the hardest to see how much I can do. And I've been fairly surprised how much I could get done, and how much people see me as a leader that I'd never thought. I was like, yeah, I don't know, I have some leadership skills, but I don't think I'm like that good. And getting that feedback, you're like, no, 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 Drew, I think you're fairly good. I was like, oh, am I? I didn't know that. Well, thank you, because that's great way so I can reevaluate myself, because um because it's all I always tell myself, because how much do you actually know about yourself, how much do you know about Junior, even if your Junior himself is like, do you really know him, do you really know you? And so I always sit down and I always reevaluate myself when I can, to figure out who I am and how far I can go. And at this moment, that's all I could really say, and I think I'm having a great experience.
That is such a powerful share, and actually I appreciate it so much that you just said that, because essentially you just synthesized perfectly what I'm hoping to do today. Like literally, man, that was so spot on with where my intention is. How well do I actually know me? It's like, and I think that was like, you really just helped me figure out how to talk about it myself, because I've been trying to think about that piece as well. And I think that what happened for me in this pandemic is that, like, this was the chance for me to really truly know me, really, like, deeply know me, all of my flaws, all of my strengths, all of my shadows, all of my light, right? And you actually said, you know what, instead of feeling bad for myself, I'm actually going to go the other way. I'm going to see how awesome I can be, and I'm going to allow myself to be surprised, and then I'm going to allow other people to be surprised by me doing more than too much, right? And so I think that, Junior, like, if for everybody that just heard Junior share, that is my truest desire for these 120 minutes that we have together, is that we will for this time, start to allow ourselves to really get to know us, to really fully understand who is inside of us. Literally singular focus us. Who is that person, and how can we better love ourselves and better understand ourselves and better use our strengths and talents to make ourselves happy, and then therefore do great work in the world. So Junior, thank you so much for that share. Appreciate it. The galaxy. All right, so we'll do one more. Kobe, let's go for it. By the way, love your plants. And I see that you are.
Yeah, it's actually a virtual background.
Oh, it's virtual, because I was like, where is it?
Does it look real?
I was like, bro, where is it 2:35 p.m.? I don't even know. How is that even possible? Like, Junior's obviously sending you like galactic stardust timing, because it can't be 2:35 anywhere I know. It's 10:02 here. It's 4:02 there.
Yeah, I usually just keep it on because I'm always like different places for these Zoom meetings.
That's funny. All right, go for it.
So hey everyone. I kind of this kind of correlates to what this is kind of why am I words? This is kind of going to correlate to what Junior said. In this moment, I'm feeling grateful. I feel like this year and last year, everybody lost like a little of themselves, and kind of not taking care of themselves. And I've been giving a lot to myself, and I've been a lot of it's been returning, and just feeling great. So I'm grateful.
Cool. Thanks, Kobe. And a lot of it is returning. I like that. I'm just writing down what you guys are saying. All right, great. So these are really powerful shares, and it's fun to hear where your mind is at, because we've gone from like Mabel, who is focusing on nature and the breeze and the screaming of the children and the laughter of the children and the swing. And then Roxy was really focused on a job fair and a job opportunity and a new opportunity that made her happy. And then Kim is happy to be on Zoom and community and really thinking through like, what does isolation mean for me? And then we have Junior, who's done more than he ever thought it was possible and is really honoring that in himself. And now Kobe's saying, I'm grateful and I'm giving and it's coming back. And wow, this is amazing. Okay, so these are really good starting places. And I'm hopeful that all of you have written something down, right? These are really good starting places. And they cover a lot of different topics. Now what I want to do is I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine talking about this talk, actually, this workshop, because I really wanted to bring something unique to you all. I really wanted to bring something that was gonna be able to stick with you and not just be a 120-minute thing and then like you forget about it. So we were talking about our own life purposes a couple of nights ago, actually, right here, and I was telling him like, I'm missing one piece in this workshop. Like there's one thing that I'm missing. I had the whole thing designed, but it didn't feel quite complete. And so we were talking, and he said, well, tell me about your life purpose. And I said, well, I think my life purpose is to really just see as much of the world as I can and really experience as much of the world as I can, and then distill it in a way that it inspires other people to awaken something in themselves that they either didn't know was there or knew was there but were neglecting. And he said to me, define the world for me. Like you said, I want to see the world. What is the world? And I really started to think about what is the world. And then he reminded me, he's actually a Buddhist. And he reminded me that in the Buddhist teachings, the world is actually what's happening to you right now, right in front of you. The world is the fur on your cat, Kim. That's your world right now. That is the world right now for you, right? The world right now for Roxy might be that job opportunity. That might be where your world is living. So I think so often we get caught up in this idea, like Mabel, for you, the world right now is that breeze. The world right now are your children. The world right now are your students. And I think oftentimes we get so caught up in this idea that there needs to be more. We need to reach for more. We need to do more in order to experience life, in order to experience the world. But what my friend told me that is deeply rooted in Buddhist principles that I actually agree with in a lot of senses is like, what if the only concept of the world that we have right now is what's directly in front of us? And so then I started thinking about what that means. Well, I started thinking about, you know how that people say, hey, you know, when you're doing something kind of crazy or you're acting out or whatever, people say like, hey, when you return to your senses, you'll see that. When you return to your senses, you'll realize. So then I started thinking about that phrase because I love words and I love communication. And then I thought to myself, return to the senses. Actually, that is what the world is. What is it that we are seeing, that we are tasting, that we are touching, that we are hearing, that we are feeling right now? Those are the five senses, right? And then what is the sixth sense? The sixth sense is what are we thinking? That third eye. You know that movie, The Sixth Sense, where he can hear, what's his name? I don't know, I'm horrible with celebrities, but Mel Gibson.
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, Mel Gibson. Remember?
Yeah.
What was it? What Women Want or something? He can like start to hear, or the sixth. Oh, Kevin Bacon was the sixth sense. Yeah. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? There's a sixth sense, and then
isn't it? I think that was Bruce Willis.
Yeah, Bruce Willis. There you go. I told you I'm horrible with names. So they could hear what people were thinking. So I want us. So then I started thinking about the return to the senses, right? So now I thought to myself, well, what better way, as Junior says, to understand Junior than to deeply feel and experience the six senses in the moment that we are living? Because then everything else just falls away. Then all of these other like anxieties and desires and pressures and struggles fade away for a moment, and you can make that almost like a practice. And for me, as Junior said again, I'm just going to keep referring to what you say, Junior, because you basically like just unlock something major for me, is how then can we use that thing that we're feeling to unlock something in ourselves, to deeply understand ourselves? Like maybe for Mabel, and we're going to do part 2 of this exercise right now, but maybe what you realize is that as you're watching the leaves fall, you have, like, this comes to me all the time when I watch a leaf fall. I'm like, oh, that's actually how I approach decision making. You know how when a leaf falls, it doesn't just fall to the ground, it just, and this is, you know, for me, I'm a fairly indecisive person when it comes to certain things. And I really need that process of that leaf falling. I really need to feel the swings, because one day I'm here and the next day I'm here. But I trust that when the leaf falls, it will fall exactly where it's meant to fall. And I can connect that for myself, and that removes some anxiety around my decision making. But I wouldn't have connected that had I not realized, as you did, Mabel, that the leaves are falling around me. I mean, I walk through parks, I walk through New York City, and I actually worry that people are going to be hit by a car because they are like glued to their phone crossing the street. And I feel very sad because I'm like, wow, do you even realize that there's like this epic tree above you? Wow, do you see how beautiful that child is? Wow, do you see that someone needs help here? But it's all here. There's no awareness. We've lost our senses. So now I want you to focus on one piece of what you wrote in your first exercise. So Mabel, maybe it's your children laughing. Maybe it's the tree falling. Roxy, maybe it's a question that you got asked in the job fair, or maybe it's something you didn't say that you want to say. Kim, maybe you write about what isolation feels like. Like with your senses, what does isolation taste like for you? Tastes like sour milk. Isolation tastes like sadness on the tongue. What does it feel like? It feels like I'm alone on the top of a mountain or at the bottom of a mountain. It smells like nothing. It smells like empty air. I don't know, but when you can start to really put words to the senses of things that are important to you in this moment, you will then start to have some subtle and not so subtle unlocks around yourself. So now let's take 5 minutes, because I really want you guys to have fun with this and dig into this. And I want you to think about, I want to pick one concept that I wrote about in part 1, and I really want to experience it with all my senses, and I want to assign some meaning to it with my sense of smell and taste and feel and hearing and sight and thinking. All right. So, and then just go crazy, have fun, be as crazy and creative and wild with these thoughts as you want. And then we'll come back and we'll share that. And for the people that will share for the first time, I want you to read your first thing and then read your second thing to see how elevated you are from that first exercise when you really enliven the senses. All right. So let's do let's say 10, 12. So I'll give you 5 minutes. All right.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Can you? I'm kind of unclear that like your mic went out for a minute, so I didn't hear the root of the assignment.
No problem.
Can you
No-
please repeat yourself?
Absolutely. So you, in part 1 of this exercise, you wrote down what you were experiencing in this moment, right? And then we had 5 people just share, and they were all experiencing. They had 2, 3, 4, 5 different themes that they were experiencing, right? Roxy had the job fair. Junior was getting to know himself. He was getting past his limiting belief of this is too much. He was being surprised by people's delight in all that he could do, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to think about one of the themes that you wrote about in the first part of the exercise. And then I want you to actually assign a sensory experience to it. So if my thing is like Kim, I feel isolated right now. That's something that I'm experiencing right now, isolation.
Yeah.
What would that smell like? What does that isolation taste like? For Kim in this moment, not hypothetically, like right now, isolation feels lonely. It tastes like, and again, this is where you get to be a creative writer. There's no right or wrong answer here. This is your stuff. This is your answer. Does that make sense, Rena?
Yeah. So so everyone, are you asking that what we wrote in the first part, that we take something from that and then we use it as what would it taste like right now, or smell like what in your world?
Like I want you to assign a unique, I want you to write a story about what isolation really feels like. What does it taste like? What does it smell like? What do you think of in your world right now? Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Got it. Any other questions? That's a good question. Thank you for asking for clarification. You guys good? All right, have fun, get creative. I'm gonna give you a few more. I'm gonna give you till 10:20, till 4:20. Go. And guys, sorry to interrupt your flow, but if it's easier for you to think about it like this, you can actually write a little letter to, like, dear isolation, here's what you feel like to me. Here's what you sound like to me. And you can play with it, you know? Hey, dear future employer, possible future employer, here's what it would feel like for me to get this job with you. Here's the things that it makes me feel. Here's what it would look like for me to have the perfect job with you, etc. All right. If that makes things easier. If not, just keep flowing. I want to interrupt you again. All right, let's take about 30 more seconds and we'll come back. All right, so do any of the people that shared the first time around want to go again? If so, just drop it in the chat, please. We'll start with you guys, and then we can move on to some people that didn't get a chance to share. Does anyone from the first round want to go? Okay, Kim says yes. Go for it, Kim.
Hi, everyone. This is what I wrote. I do not like being in isolation. I want to be outside with the people. I want to be in school with people. I want to talk to people and laugh and have fun again before, like it was before the pandemic. I want to be happy with the world again. I want love to come back to the people. I want the hate to go away. I want the love to come back to the world.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And let me ask you a follow-up question, Kim. And in the meantime, if anybody else wants to share, whether you did it the first time or not, please just put in your chat that you'd like to share your story. When you say love, Kim, what do you think about? What is that? If you could define that a little bit more, what would that sound like?
To me, it would sound like us caring for each other, because at this present time, I just noticed that what I see now, I didn't see when I was a little kid. We loved each other when I was a kid. You know, we shared information, whether you was right or wrong. You knew that whoever you were sharing your information with, it was a learning experience. Now what I see is like people just want to learn something and keep it to themselves, or they just want to share it with only certain people. And I'm not used to that. When you learn, everybody learns. You know, you're sharing what you feel and what you learn with everyone, so we can all live together in peace and harmony. You know, I'm not seeing that at this present time. What I see now is people being extremely angry because they don't have money, they don't have food, they have all this responsibility now that we all need help at this present time. So if we all get together and help each other, we'll be more happier, we'll be more satisfied, you know, and we won't be in isolation. You know, I remember growing up, we used to actually pick up the phone and call each other to make sure that we was okay. You know, I'm in this tech world now. It's like, now you have to either text somebody, email them. No one calls just to hear a person's voice, just to see, you know, somebody texting can sound good. Somebody in an email can sound good if you put the right words together. But when you hear that human voice, and that human voice don't sound right to you, you know that there's something wrong. So you know you need to go see that person to make sure they are right. Because what I learned now is that, yeah, if you're real good and savvy with technology, you can make your sound real good. But if you could see that person eye to eye, you can see that there's something wrong and that person needs help. And I feel that's what's missing in the world today.
That's beautiful. So I want you to remember all that you just said. It's a very powerful share, because the next part of this workshop, we're going to be actually writing longer love letters to ourselves. And the idea with this love letter to ourselves is that we ask ourselves, and we recognize in ourselves the ways that we are contributing to the world in a way that that feels aligned with the ways that we want to be contributing to the world. So what I'm hearing from you right now, when someone talks, I always think about themes. I'm always trying to extract a theme, right? And in your case, I really hear two things. The first thing I hear is a generosity. You are craving to give and to receive more generosity of time, of care, of of compassion, of investment. Like there's a generosity to a phone call, actually. There's a generosity to a conversation. There's a generosity of, I actually care about you so much that I'm going to look at you in the eyes and see how you're doing. So when we go to this third part of the exercise where we're actually writing love letters to ourselves, I want you to think about, like, how is generosity showing up in your life right now? That's number one. Number two, what I hear from you is goodwill and well-being. These are things that you hold important to you. Like, you want people to be good. You want to be good. You want to be in a well place. So when we do the love letters to ourselves, I want you to think about, like, how are you actually giving yourself that gift of being well yourself, right? Because it's easy to focus on the outside world without taking care of ourselves first. So thank you so much for that share, Kim, but please do keep those things in mind. And the reason that I'm doing this with Kim right now is actually I'm trying to make this scalable for all of you, which is, as you think about what you write, as you think about the things that are important to you, also think in terms of themes, or maybe an even better way to understand this is values. Like Kim's values in that share, right, is actually pretty clear. She values community. She values compassion. She values generosity, and she values goodwill and well-being. And so in those themes, I want you to think about, how do you have, how are you showing up for yourself in those themes? Okay. All right. So let's go on. We have a few more people that want to share. Thank you for that, Junior. Let's go to you next.
I'm back.
Right.
Okay, so from what I from the first part,
Yep.
which is me understanding myself a lot better, I would say it's more like an enlightening experience. Um, how would I say? How could I compare it to? Uh, how would I say, an electrifying experience? Like, you just got hit by a lightning bolt, and the shock, you get shocked a little bit, and then you see a little bit of the light. Um, and so now, how it would taste and feel, that's the hardest part, right? Because, you could always taste good things. I guess it would taste good in a way, like a cake would, because it's sweet. It's nice, and now how do you feel? I think feeling is a really complex thing to talk about, because it's like, how do you really feel? Like, even if you're feeling good, do you really good? Or, because it has to always do with, does it give you the serotonin kick that you need, right? So I think that's what it is, from when you find when you figure more things out about yourself, and you find out, oh, I'm not horrible.
Yeah.
I'm doing good.
Yeah. And
So
so yeah, of course, you're not horrible. Definitely, you are good. And this is really, I so appreciate you guys sharing, because it's adds such a level of depth and richness to these conversations. Like, even the way that you just frame that up, like, oh, I'm not horrible. It's like, so many of us are defaulting into that, and then we build from there, instead of defaulting into, like, I'm great, and then, like, finding ways to even to improve or to up level from that great position. So I think that's really great. And then, so for you, in your, like, in your love letter to yourself, I want you to really focus, like Junior. I want you to feel. I think that what came through to you for strongest was this electric, and the word that I was thinking was like jolt. You almost had a jolt, right? And there was like this electric jolt. So in your love letter to yourself, I want you to think about, what are the areas of my life where I have jolted, and where are the areas of my life that I still need to awaken. I still need to wake up, that are lying dormant, just waiting for that electricity to strike, because we all have it. We all have it. And what is that thing for you? And then, the purpose of these love letters that we're about to write to ourselves, and these first two exercises are simply a primer to get you warmed up to start to write, is that I want these love letters to be like the most beautiful thing you've ever written yourself. I want this to be the most honest thing you've ever. I want you to say like, this is my truth. This is my truth. So what we're doing with these preliminary exercises is like you just said, I felt a jolt or I felt an electricity. And from that, I realized that I'm not so horrible. Wow, there's a lot there, my man. There's a lot there. So I want you in your love letter to really like dive into it deep. All right. That's awesome. Thank you. All right, let's go to Rena. Rena, I think
I'm
you're
sorry.
muted. Oh, there you go. Rena, I think you're muted.
Am I still muted? Is
There you-
that,
there you
can you
go.
hear me?
Yeah. Now you
Okay,
can.
thank you. So hello, everyone. I didn't get to share in the at the beginning the two they shared before. So how does this go now? Do I kind of backtrack to what I was what I wrote a little bit about that, so as to give
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and do both? Start with the one that we haven't heard yet and then do the new one.
Okay, so 1 second. Okay, so I'm just gonna do like I'm not the best writer, so I'm gonna start like this. The thing
So,
that
I'm gonna stop you, Rena. I'm gonna stop you. I have to stop you for a second. Okay, so part of what's so powerful about writing is that we are putting words. The thing that I hold most sacred about writing is that we have to process multiple layers before it comes out. When we speak, we don't have to process much. We can just think and then speak. When you write, you have to think, digest, comprehend, and then write, and then speak. So there's like 5 layers. What I want you to all think about, all of us, including me, all of us, is that when we say things out loud, we are asserting truth to them. So you just said, I'm not a good writer. You're already, before you even said anything, you're already putting out, not only putting out, but you're already telling your subconscious that you are not a good something. I want us to stop doing that, because here's why. Whoever told you that is not the ultimate guide of who is a good writer. There are millions and billions of people in the world, and I guarantee you that somebody, even if it's only you, thinks you're a good writer, and therefore it's not true that you're not a good writer. So guys, please be careful with language. Please, it's actually exactly what Junior is saying. Too much. This is a phrase that I have a real problem with in English and also in Spanish. They use it a lot in Spanish. Demasiado, eres demasiado, you're too much. It's like, according to who? Why are you diminishing my power? Why are you diminishing my light? Why are you telling, who are you to tell me that I'm too much? I hear it all the time. You're too much, you're too much, you're too much. I'm like, actually, you're just processing something in you that you feel like you're not enough, and I'm a reflection of what you actually want to be. And so instead of you growing into your own power, you're going to try to diminish mine by telling me that I'm too much. There's no such thing as too much. And Junior, when you were saying that, I was like, oh man, brother, that's a big breakthrough that you had. Like you broke through too much. I broke through too much years ago. People, even my parents, are you too much energy, too much idea. There's no such thing as too much. And when you can break through your own barriers of language that have been instilled in you by society, parents, friends, spouses, teachers, whatever, and when you can break through those and you can stop to say negative things about yourself, you will see a huge shift in life. So Rena, thank you for doing that, because I do it all the time. People do it all the time. I want us to really stop telling ourselves what we're not good at, because it's reinforcing our subconscious that we're actually not good enough. And that's what I'm trying to reprogram right now.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, when you speak it goes into the universe and it becomes power. So thank you for making me aware of that. Like sometimes I know this, but sometimes it's such a subconscious act.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so what I wrote about was I was thinking about what I wanted to write, and then I wrote Dear Joy, you know, and I started wondering about would I speak about joy, would I speak about accomplishment, would I speak about hopefulness, would I speak about my future, where, what, when, why, and so I decided to write about joy. So I said, Dear Joy, you taste like a refreshing glass of water on a hot summer day. There's no there's no words that can explain the the pureness of your taste. Uh the past year and a half has been a huge struggle for the entire world. That's why it's taking me back by all the joy that I feel in spite of such difficult times. Maybe it's because I've traveled halfway around the world and found the happiness that eluded me my entire life. And that's all I got to.
And where did you travel to?
I live in Amsterdam now.
And when you say you traveled halfway around the world, can you say that again? Halfway around the world to find the joy that I've. Say that again.
The happiness.
Say that last sentence again, though.
The happiness that's eluded me my entire life.
Eluded me my entire life.
Yeah.
So what is it? So you don't have to answer this now, but what I want you to think about, this is a great share because this is actually a perfect example of a comma. Like right now, there's a comma in your story, that the happiness that has eluded me for my whole life, comma. And then this next part, I want you to go into like, what does that happiness look like and taste like and sound like? And why do you think it eluded you your whole life? You don't need to go into like your whole past, but like, was there an unlock, like Junior, the happiness. So I'm making this up. I'm not trying to insert words into Junior's mouth, but I want to play on your example to go to Junior. It's like the happiness that's eluded me my whole life was that I was limited by this belief that me doing more than my parents made me too much, and therefore I was a burden. And that was the happiness that was eluding me. That was the illusion. That was the thing that was getting away. And now I don't do that anymore. And now I'm happier because there's no more box of what is too much. I just blew the whole fucking thing open. Right? And so now it's like, boom, there is no more box. Like I am done with the box. And that's happiness for me. The absence of boxes. So I want you, Rena, to like, this is a beautiful.
So I'm sorry. So I am actually kind of listing one the comma of so what is the happiness that I'm feeling right now? What has it been an epiphany? Has it been the journey? Has it been some revelations? So I'm just trying to put it into context to answer the questions.
All of those things. All of them. You choose, right? And or has it been something super small? I learned that I love train travel because it makes me feel like a 5-year-old girl, and I can look outside and I can actually write my own movie that's on the pasture that's happening outside. And for the first time in my life, I feel like I have my creativity awakened, and it happens on trains. I don't know, like, but again, it's like an experience that leads to a theme, and this is what you're already onto it. Like you're like right there. Like your experience was going halfway around the world. The theme was happiness. So what happened? Like what happened in that journey that made you find the happiness?
What happened?
You don't have to answer that.
Oh, okay.
Think about that for when we write the letters.
Okay.
But that was a really, really profound and perfect share of an experience leading to a theme, leading to a value, leading to a mission, leading to a vision. All right. So thank you for that. All right.
You're welcome. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Okay. So, that was beautiful. And let's do, okay. Wow. We have a lot of people who want to share. Thank you. Let's do Sonia Joe.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Super well. Thank you.
Okay, so I wrote, behind this computer, how can I impact change in someone's life? Then I wrote, dear change, I can hear freedom as I embark on a new beginning. I can smell fresh air, like I just opened the windows for the first time in the morning. I can feel nothing but space, as this is a new chapter in my life. And I can taste a cup of chai tea because it's the start of a new day. That's what I have so far.
We can all go there with you on the chai tea. I just got like that. I just got that clove, nutmeg, cinnamon, black
Yes.
pepper. Oh yeah, give it to me. That's great. All right, beautiful. So so this is a beautiful share, because this is actually an example of well, actually, quick question. So you were actually going through multiple feelings, right? Like space was something. If you had to, at the top of this pyramid, if you had to say the feeling that I most am experiencing now is what?
Change.
Change. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. So what we're gonna stick with that. So when you come around to your love letter, maybe you're going to write a love letter about change. Maybe you're going to write a love letter about the change that's happening inside of you. You know, so, and then your descriptions were so beautiful. And I love this idea of like just seeing space, because spaciousness is so important to me. And that I think is a really big revelation, especially for people in New York. Like spaciousness is a discipline, is a practice, because there's, first of all, so many social events happening. Second of all, like space literally is limited. Like people are living on top of each other, and there's on the subway, and like you don't get a lot of space. So how can you create space in your sphere, in your mind, in your world, in a way that serves you, even if you don't have actual literal space from people? So that's a brilliant example, actually, of recreating a reality almost, right? Like my actual reality is I live on top of 50 other people, but even in that reality, I found spaciousness. So really, really beautiful. Thank you, Soraya, or Sonia. Okay.
Thank you.
So let's go. Okay. There's a lot of people want to share. So I'm going to do, okay. I want to do, he's got to move on with time, but let's do 2 more shares. Let's do Annie, and then let's do Roxy. Annie, you go first, and then Roxy, and then we got to move on. Sorry.
Hi. Okay, I will to. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay, I'm going to read the first part and then the second. So I'm here in my bedroom, just like another day, doing my homework and trying to do my best, like everyone around me expect to do. Sometimes the idea of what I am doing just come to my mind, and this made me think if this will make me happy in the future. And those questions sometimes make me feel anxious, but there's something inside me that deep down that encouraged me to keep going. Yeah, and so in the second part, I focus in the answer. So I read like a letter, so say, "Dear answer, here's what you made me feel." The moment that I start feeling like that, my hands get cold, the air feels heavy, and feels like my mind isn't shut up, like not in shut, like blocked. My hair starts to get fatter than normal, and I try to look around for something like to calm down, but sometimes I think that it's just a moment and this will pass, and a bad day is just like 24 hours. So I don't know, like things happens and we need to calm down sometimes and take a break, you know? So yeah.
Yeah. Take a break is good. That's really nice. And I think so it's what you're doing here, which is beautiful is you're actually identifying sensations in you, right? And these are really helpful points. So when you feel anxiety, things are happening in your hands and in your hair and in the earth, and you're actually so self-aware that you are aware. Okay, hands are getting cold. Oh, hairs. Oh, earth. Okay, this must be something that's happening around my anxiety. There's something that's happening. So that's the first step. And most people don't even get there. Most people are just like, why are my hands cold? Or most people don't even realize their hands are cold. They're just like going about it. Oh, this will pass, whatever. So you've identified that it's happening, right? When my hands get cold, my hair. Then the next question becomes, how can I get it so that you said an interesting thing here. You said it's just 24 hours and then it'll pass. Well, actually, I think that you are so self-aware, and I think that you could probably even empower through this self-awareness that you can continue to grow. What if there was a way to get it from lasting for 24 hours down to 12? Or what if there was a way from getting it to last for 24 hours down to 1? Or what if there was a way from getting it to last for 24 hours down to you saying like, this is happening. It's always been okay in the past. I'm just going to like, let this be for a minute and then it's going to go. I'll give you an example. For me, I do a lot of things and I have a lot of energy and I also like, I rest and I love spaciousness, but I do like to do a lot of things. Sometimes when I am exhausted, my body shakes. And this in the past, it used to really freak me out. And in the past, I used to get so worked up about the shaking that I would vomit because there would be anxiety around the shaking, and the anxiety would actually take me to a place of a physical purging, and I would vomit, and then I would sleep for like 2 days. And then, that wasn't the most sustainable, healthy way. And this would happen to me every 3 months, let's say. And then I realized like, this is not good. But then I realized, okay, when I start to shake, it actually means I need to rest. Instead of getting super anxious about why am I shaking? What is wrong with me? And then vomiting, I was able to cut this down from 2 days. The shakes start to happen, and then I'll take a nap for an hour or two, or I'll go to sleep super early that night, and the next day I'll be fine. So I've taken it from a 2 or 3 day really unpleasant experience between shaking and vomiting down to about a 2-hour process of, hey, this is normal. This happens to you, Brian. This is where Junior's share was so powerful for me. Like, who are you, Brian? Like, don't lie to yourself. Like, you don't need to be anyone other than who you are to love yourself. You get run down, you start to shake. It's your body's way of saying, just chill for a little bit, and then I'll be okay. But I used to be like, sleep, done, and then no, right? So in this case, Annie, you're already halfway there, and you actually don't have to let it take 24 hours of your life. You can start to realize, okay, my hands are cold. Why? I need to address this. How can I address this in a way that's true to me, but then also cuts down the time of my suffering? Ultimately, I think that the more self-aware we are, the less we suffer. And that's something that I really care a lot about for people, like ending suffering. And so that's what I would say for you, Annie, to take it to that next step. Okay. Let's close here with Roxy.
Hi. I wrote the job fair have a taste of happiness for me. Happiness for me means positive in life and confident. Happiness is like eating a 3-meal cake. When I was being interviewed by the old lady, I was excited because I felt hope to be hired by this person. I was happy, paying attention to the interviewer. Meanwhile, she was talking about the job description. For that reason, I am confident and I am looking forward working hard in any company. I am just positive in my future job. Um, Today, I was motivated because of this job fair, and I see many job opportunities outside. I know that I can take any job and do my best. That's all.
That's beautiful. So it's almost like the process of this interview instilled confidence in you that if it's not this job, it can be any job. But you just, it was like it's almost like going on a date, and knowing the date's going really well and knowing, hey, even if it's not this person, I know that I am able to do this. Like, I know that I'm able to connect with humans. I know that I'm able to bring something to a relationship, whether it be romantic, professional, friendship, business, whatever. And so that's really, so it's almost like, thematically here for me, it sounds like just by you going for it gave you confidence and happiness that you can continue to go for it.
Yeah.
Who doesn't feel happiness with a tres leche? Everybody,
Yeah.
I'm actually vegan, so I have to make my own tres leche with like coconut milk and almond milk and soy milk. It's really good, but it's really fun to experiment with those Dominican dishes with all these different nut milks, and it's still like, oh, the tres leche with coffee doesn't get any better. So
Yeah.
okay, so beautiful. So now, I you guys are awesome, and I just want to say, I love working with you all for this reason. And I always tell, it says every single year, every single semester, working with you guys, with this particular group, with Jason's group, is always one of my favorite days of the year because you're so open and you're so honest and you're so vulnerable and you're so innovative and creative. And so thank you for the shares. Now we're going to jump into the really, in my opinion, the heart of what this is. Okay. Horchata. Oh my God, Chris, why are you doing this to me right now? I see the horchata con cinnamon. Love that. All right. So now we're gonna spend the rest of this time, and we're gonna write love letters to ourselves. And what's coming to me as you all are all sharing, which is so beautiful, is actually, I want to narrow the focus a little bit more. And I want you to write a love letter to yourself during this pandemic. It sounds like it's been a really hard time for a lot of us. And it has been a really hard time for a lot of us for a lot of reasons. But here's what I think. Just like I told Rena, that we have the ability to shift our reality. We have the ability to shift our perspective. We have the ability to shift our truth and our circumstances. We are actually much more in control of our lives than we want to give ourselves credit for. And we are much more in control of our lives than the powers that be want to give you credit for, because then they can't control you. So the whole thing that I've learned about this in this pandemic is that self-sufficiency and self-reliance is important. And that happens through self-love, through self-acceptance, and through self-knowledge, right? So here's what I know about this pandemic. It has made us connect with ourselves in ways that we have never done before, because we have more time, we have more space, we have more necessity, right? I've had to recreate a lot for myself in terms of business, but I've also I started to meditate every day for the last 2 years. I've started to face things about me that I didn't even remember. I started to face things about me that I was like, wow, that's there, that's deep. Like I need to really give this some love. I started to identify other strengths that I had. I started to connect with people in the most beautiful way. I started to spend more time alone. I started to connect more with animals. I started to appreciate nature more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My point with this is this. I can promise you, every single one of you, and I can hear it in the shares, you have all done way more than you think. You have all done so many beautiful things. There has been so much growth. And yes, pain is a part of that growth in some cases. But what if we collectively, as how many people, 36 participants, what if we could today say, hey, guess what? I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to turn off the news. I'm going to make a decision, and I'm going to say, I am going to today, right now, this is literally what we're going to do. I'm going to write myself a love letter. And I'm going to say all of the things that I love about myself, that I have discovered about myself in this pandemic, that I have done in this pandemic, that I have thought in this pandemic, that I have created in this pandemic. And I'm going to honor that. And I'm going to honor it so that, number one, I honor myself because that's important. And number two, it's going to maybe unlock something in me that when everyone's talking about how terrible this pandemic has been and how hard it's been, and yes, okay, sure, that's true. I'm not saying it's not true, but hey, guess what? What if we can actually, as this small group of 36 people, start to refresh and reframe the current narrative to, it's been a hard time, but a lot of beauty has come from it. And guess what? I'm coming out of this pandemic stronger than I've ever been, more capable than I've ever been, and more innovative and creative than I've ever been, and more clear and more self-loving than I've ever been. And for that, I'm going to let this narrative go of like, it's been so hard these times. And instead, I'm going to say, hey, what's my new reality that I am responsible for creating that's going to uplift myself and those people around me because we need it. Right? So I want you to now, we're going to spend, I'll tell you right now, we're going to spend 20 minutes writing love letters to yourselves. And I want you to just devour yourself in love. I want you to pour your heart into this. We're not going to share these if you don't want to. You don't ever have to share it, actually. That's how intimate I want it to be. You can share it if you want. I'm going to leave my social media and my email here. If you'd like to email it to me, I'd be honored to read it. There is absolutely no expectation of you sharing this with anyone. I want you to go deep, deep, deep into your truth of what you've lived for these last 2 years and all of the ways that you've honored yourself. So I want you to literally just spend these next 20 minutes doing that. We'll come back at 11:20 at 5:20, and then Jason and I'll close out. If you have any questions in the last 10 minutes, go ahead and ask them. I'm going to leave here this is my social media. Brian Rashid Global I'm on every social media platform, Instagram, Facebook. Those are probably the two that I use the most. And then that's my email. If you want to email me with your questions, or if you want to email me your love letter to yourself, I'd love to read it. No obligation whatsoever. So, and then, on my social, I post all kinds of free stuff and fun stuff. And there's a lot of my own thoughts there as well. So we're about to dive deep. This is important to me. This means a lot to me that we're doing this because, like I said, this has been a huge unlock for me in terms of building community, but most importantly, in terms of honoring myself and honoring the place around you. So you can write about yourself and your growth. You can write about projects you've done. You can write about the city that you live in, right? You can write about if maybe you fall in love with New York City in a new way, Amsterdam in a new way, the Bronx in a new way. I don't know. Maybe you've fallen in love with your child in a new way or your partner in a new way, and you've learned things. This is totally free reign for you. The only requirement is that you truly, deeply honor and own what it is inside of you, deep, deep, deep inside of you, even if it's not so pleasant. Honor and own it and say, hey, guess what? This is what's going on. This is what I've done, and I love you. And I want you to really feel that self-love. So we're gonna jam now. 20 minutes, 11:21 will come back, and you go for it. Have fun. Get deep. Don't hold back. No one else is reading this if you don't want them to. All right, we're gonna wrap up here in 30 seconds. Slowly start to come back, please. You can always continue to write these letters tonight, this weekend, in the future. But I just wanted to come back and close out. See if anybody had any questions or just quick comments, doubts, thoughts, anything you would like to share at all. Just go ahead and put your name in the chat, or put a comment in the chat if you'd like to. No pressure at all to do so. But if anyone had a thought or a question. While you're thinking about that, I just wanted to again thank you all, and to give a really big thanks to Jason. You know, for those of you guys that know me before, you know how much I love Jason. I just think he's such an amazing, amazing leader. And I always say this every year, it's so rare to find people that care so much about other people. And so, you know, you have such a gift in him as a mentor. And I would strongly encourage you to take advantage of that, because he truly, truly cares. I know Jason now for almost a decade, and he's always steady. It always never ever stops with his love for students and for your growth. And so that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so Jason, I want to just thank you for bringing me back here again with these amazing students. And I also just want to honor you for all of your dedication and love and open heart to all of us. So thank you for that. And for all of you, I want to thank you hugely, immense gratitude for your participation today. It was unbelievable. You know, this is the first time that I've done this particular workshop, and I am just so pleased with how it went. And it's because of you all. You know, I mean, I can set up the framework, but ultimately, if you're not inspired and if you're not willing to participate and co-create, then it's just me kind of sitting here awkwardly. So you really brought so much depth and richness to it, and I want to thank you guys. And so again, I'll put my email one more time here if you'd like to email me questions or connect for anything. And then also, if you I'm going to put my social one more time here as well, just if you want to follow along. I put up kind of inspirational thoughts and writings all the time there. But mostly I want just to close with just kind of a call to action for all of us. And it's something I alluded to before, which is, it's easy to fall into like, oh man, this time and these times and this pandemic and negativity and anger and fear. It's really easy. It's easy actually to fall into that. Everyone's doing that. My challenge for all of us is like to be different. We get to be the leaders. We get to be like, the energy that we put out really does ripple. And I really believe that. And I'm not trying to diminish people's hard time and death and sickness and all that. But at some point, you have to decide that you are going to recreate the truth of which you live your life, and then recreate the narrative of which you live your life, and recreate the people that you surround yourself. And if everybody is telling you about how bad it is and how scary it is and how fearful it is, then of course you're going to feel that. So my hope with these 36 people on this call, these 36 souls, is that we can commit together to be that circle of connection, to be that circle of inspiration, of jolting energy, of electricity, of positivity, of hope, of love. And that starts with ourselves. So thank you for taking the chance to write a love letter to yourself. Thank you for awakening your senses. Thank you for making sure that the world is here in front of you right now. Thank you for participating. And Jason, thank you so much again for bringing me here. I really honor you all so much. And it means so much to me to be here, and I don't take it for granted. And I really hope that I was able to deliver something meaningful for you in these few hours. So thank you all.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you for taking this risk. You know, Brian has been great coming and visiting with us and bringing us new things and sort of engaging the members of the Hostos Student Leadership Academy over the years with new ideas and ideas that have really sort of opened them up. And Brian, I referenced this 2 weeks ago, Saint presented, and he raved about how you sort of inspired him to take all of these risks, you know, in the course of his life. So you see how these things work. And I can testify to the fact that no matter where Brian is, whether he's in Hawaii or Uruguay or Colombia or Dominican Republic or the Bronx or Manhattan or wherever he's around the world, he is a good person to touch base with. He is somebody who does respond to emails and messages and social media. And as we always say, like a great tangential mentor, right? Not somebody who's going to be on you all the time, but somebody who, when you need advice or guidance or support, will actually respond and give you his best knowledge, his best experience, his best support. And so if you decide that you want to share those love letters with Brian, I know that he will care for them and take good care in responding to them. And some of those things that he said today, even to you as you were writing, as a writer myself, which we won't go into too much here, I can honestly say Brian really touched upon a lot of the important things in terms of, pursuing not only, getting out your ideas on a piece of paper or in some sort of form of writing, but actually in terms of trying to live your life and understand really how powerful you are, how extraordinary you are, how the little steps that you take, which you think aren't that big of a deal, are the hugest steps that you take and will influence everything that you do in your life. And whether you're young or more mature, or whether you've started college just yesterday or started it 3 years ago or 5 years ago or a longer time, what you learn is that all of these steps that you're taking are leading you on an extraordinary path to do extraordinary things. And part of the reason why we exist is to sort of embrace that opportunity with you, for you, to help guide you towards those places, so that we don't have a method of leadership. We don't say leadership is politics. We don't say leadership is being the head of something. Leadership is sometimes being a great mom. Leadership is sometimes being a great friend. Leadership is sometimes about, as Stefan always says, about pressing the button on an elevator for somebody, right? All of that is very valuable. And that's what we're here to do. And so I thank you for giving up a little bit of your time on Friday afternoon. I thank you again, Brian. Enjoy that beautiful weather out there in Hawaii. And we look forward to a date and a time when you'll be able to come back to the Bronx and visit with us and share your knowledge and wisdom with us in person. But thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, and I was going to say one final thing, one final exercise that I have found to be very helpful and very revealing. And I encourage every one of you to try it tonight and throughout the day, but really at night, just or throughout the day, look at yourself in the mirror and just like really look at yourself in the eyes, and then just say, I love you, and then say your name. And repeat it a few times. I love you, Brian. I love you, Brian. I love you, Brian. And then talk to yourself about you're a good man. You're doing your best, and it's enough. These are the things that I say to myself. You're a good man. You're doing your best, and it's enough. Those are the three things. The enoughness is hard for me. I always feel like I should be doing more, or I'm not enough. And so repeating these things, and then watch your reaction and really be honest with yourself around that. Like there are many times that I'll say it to myself and I'll cry. And it's either because I actually believe it or I don't believe it. And that's scary for me. But you, just by telling yourself, I love you, and saying your name and looking straight in your eyes, I'm telling you, is a really powerful way to start to tap into that self-love that you need to be honest with yourself and find your truth and be the best mom or be the best elevator button, the presser, or whatever it is that you want to do. But just start with that exercise. And thank you, Jason, for everything. And all of you.
Thank you. And as I do this, I want to say goodbye. Have a great weekend. If you're joining me tomorrow out in the morning, I'll be there at 7 a.m. For the walk for Alzheimer's. If I don't see you, I'll see you next week. So take care, everybody. Fatima, thank you. Roxy, Junior, Kim, Sonia, Ryan, Kobe, Asumara, Narcissa, Yasin, Buampandi, Lam, Fatima,
Hi, everyone.
Cynthia, Maria, Ryan, Rena, Raimundo, Annie, Isabel, Taisha, Denise, Estelle. Take care,
Thank
Chris.
you, Jason.
Thank you so much, everybody. Francisco, I think I got Francisco. I got everybody. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys soon. Brian, take care. Stay in touch. Cynthia, great. Thank you. Renee, bye. Take
Bye.
care. Rokia, take care. All right. I'll see you guys. Take care.